Okay, so today I learned, this is day 2 by the way, and today I learned about positioning and differentiation because it is very important to learn about this. Even though you might be thinking that you know this, it might be good to revise it because I've looked at TikTok and you see all these people starting clothing brands, and they focus too much on logo and too much on trying to market, but they never focus on positioning and differentiation. And that is why, for example, I saw one that just failed drastically and another one didn't. Why? Because the other one focused on positioning and differentiation because there's so much competition. So much. Like there's so many clothing brands. But if you just focus on, instead of a logo, instead of trying to, show your materials, so show your, um yeah, my brand has this design, or look at my ads. No, focus on your positioning and differentiation. That's what I learned today. And basically, I have written a lot of notes here. I need to keep on revising these because otherwise I'm gonna forget it, to be honest, because it's a lot. But basically, how to create a compelling value proposition for your brand. I started off today by watching a video, and I took some notes here. I'm gonna read some. I went through these papers because it's like 6, 7, 8 papers taking notes on. But I wrote, why should customers choose you over other competitors? And that's the kind of question business owners have in their mind when trying to go with a marketing agency, right? And you need to answer that clear, concise, emotionally engaging. 1 to 2 sentences. And start with deep audience insight, needs, pain points, motivations, and so you need to basically do market research before saying this to the owner, basically. And you need to identify the USP, unique selling points. So whether it is quality, price, speed, or even like things like customer support. Maybe you have the best customer support. Nobody else has that. Maybe you can offer the ultimate customer support to your client. So that is a USP, basically. Okay, and then you need to be specific. Show how product solves a problem or improves an experience. Add emotion connection. So a strong value proposition is customer centric, differentiated, clear, trustworthy, emotionally resonant, consistent, and adaptable. Okay. And I also listened to a podcast today, and they went through the 3 pillars brand positioning to find a competitive advantage. So they basically, this episode explored the 3 foundational pillars. So it was the credibility, and it provides actionable steps and insights on how to build and refine the brand's position in the market to establish a competitive edge. And these like things discussed in this episode are applicable to businesses of all size. So basically, it went through like differentiation. What makes the brand stand out? The brand stands out by fixing a problem other brands don't, and using smart, creative ideas to show why it's best choice. And then it went through relevance. How is the brand meaningful to the target audience? So like, how is, for example, a marketing agency relevant to a client? And it goes beyond demographics. It taps also into psychographics, which I found when doing an example today. I found that kind of hard. I found demographics easy, but psychographics, which is like fears, desires, that kind of stuff. I found that kind of like harder because I had to dig deeper more dig deeper, and find an answer within, which I found kind of hard, to be honest. And then last is credibility. And how does the brand build trust and authority? So demonstrate deep understanding of audience and market, consistency in messaging, clear differentiation backed by research. So this is where you need to do research, right? And you do this by study your customers and competitors, and you use creativity to make your brand unique, and this is where I was starting off with a clothing brand example. And you make your brand unique, and don't just rely on looks or ads, like with for example the hoodie, for example. Like all the newbie clothing brands, people just want to do some quick hoodie and that's it. No, you need to really study this. You need to go deep. So yeah. And yeah, there's some more here, but I also fired up ChatGPT, and I used another software called what was it called? It was called Manus AI, yeah. And it says basically, and that positioning is like telling your friends what makes your superhero special and why it's the best at one thing. Is your superhero the strongest, like a Hulk? Is it the fastest, like the Flash? Is it Batman, the smartest? But if you were like a kid, imagine you're a kid, you wouldn't tell your buddies your superhero is good at everything, because then nobody would really know what makes it special. You pick the one thing it's best at, that's what you do, to not bore them out, and you tell everyone that. So if your superhero is like the Flash, the fastest, a runner, you say, my superhero is like the Flash, it's the fastest, it can win any race. That helps your friends know exactly what makes your superhero awesome and different from all other superheroes. And they all want to have this because it's good at just one thing, right? And it makes it super simple for them to understand what it is good at. And that is what positioning is for products as well. So it's finding the one special thing your product is best at and telling the right people about it, so they know why it's the perfect choice for them. And in this case, it was this little kid telling all their buddies about their superhero figure is like the Flash, the fastest. And these kids, since they're interested in toys and stuff like this because they're kids, then they want it because it's just good at this one thing. And they're gonna be able to flex on all their buddies as well in their class, for example. And that's what positioning is. Okay? And a bit how to stand out and pitch effectively with this idea, now that we know we are on the same page. It's so to pitch effectively, we need to demonstrate the positioning through a compelling narrative and not just a statement. So we need to focus on ideal customer, understand their deep frustrations. Okay, we need to understand, for example, in this Flash, like this figure part, right? We need to understand their deep frustration. So, for example, okay, what makes these kids frustrated? They cannot be like them, and they wanna have a figure that they can show off and say like, oh, see, look at this thing, I'm like this, they're frustrated about this thing. Maybe you find this cringe, I'm talking about stuff like this, but this actually works. Okay, this actually works. Okay, trust me. And yeah, so number one, we need to understand their deep frustrations, aspirations, and motivations related to the product. So related to this figurine, this Flash, right? And then unique value proposition. What specific job does your product do better than any alternative? Quantify benefits and explain how features translate to customer gains. Competitive landscape